Limiting your attacks to a set range, thinking, okay, this punch always comes here, this kick always comes way over there, that is a massive mistake which beginners make. I had a request recently to talk about longer range uppercuts and hooks. Somebody said, I've been seeing fighters execute these with great success, and can you break down how you have to change your uppercuts and hooks from that traditional sort of 90-degree range when they're fairly tight? That is what most coaches teach, and I'm going to show you today how to extend those punches much further. Do I need gloves for this episode? Do I need them on? No, not really, but I would like to show you just the knuckle position, things that change, so I'm going to throw them on. What we're talking about is how to get those uppercuts a little bit further out or the hooks a little further out without damaging your hand, without exposing your head more. There's lots of little things to focus on. Like I said in the introduction, many people think that everything's in tight. They think these are my long range shots and these are my short range. But again, very naive to think that way, or you just haven't had a good instructor who has actually broken down for you why you should be throwing all your shots at different ranges. And keep in mind, this is not just for the uppercuts and hooks. For knees, you should have tight little ones. You should have those spear knees. For front kicks, you could kick really tight. You can go crazy far by turning it over. Straight punch, across, it doesn't need to be always way out here. If somebody's right in tight, I can still execute. I'm just gonna have to lift my elbow a little more. Those are fast examples of the other techniques, but we are focusing on those hooks and those uppercuts. So let's start with the hook first. The very first thing which many people ask questions about is how should I position my hand? And I think when you're at this sort of more 90-degree angle with your arm, you can choose either. You can go for that European style, or you can go for the more American style. But when we start extending our arm further and further, what's going to happen is the punch turns into really more of a slap. So how do we gain power behind it? How do we make sure that when we strike, it's actually with the knuckles? Well, I prefer to turn over. I find now from here, I am landing with my knuckles instead of with the edge of the fingers, and that means you have so much more power. In addition, you will note my shoulder is fairly low here, but as I start to lift, my shoulder has to flare up, which will provide more protection. Also, you're gonna feel that shoulder lock out a little bit more. As the punch comes further away, you're gonna start to lack power, but once I flip it, this shoulder really engages, and that seems to provide more stability to the punch. Now, in my experience, trying to throw a super long range hook just on its own is not fantastic. But if you can set it up off some long shots and then throw, then it can work very nice. This can come off the back arm, can come off the front arm. Like I said, in a combo, starting with straight punches, then coming to the hook is very ideal. I want to take a quick pause before we move into the uppercuts. August is coming to a close very fast. Bioptimizers, which has my favorite supplement, the magnesium. They're only providing free magnesium until the end of the month. After that, you'll have to go back to paying full amount for the bottle. You can head over to magnesiumbreakthrough.com/Gabriel free, and only paying shipping, you can pick up a bottle of magnesium on them. This is a fantastic supplement which has helped me improve my recovery and dial in my sleep, which has been so beneficial. Guys, I strongly suggest before the end of the month, you click that link down below and head over to their website. Now, as we move into the uppercut, we want to make sure a few major things are recognized. Number one, if I come off my jab and I go to throw the uppercut, that traditional sort of idea that I need to bend my knees, drop my weight, and lift out, it's not as applicable. The knees don't matter so much anymore. What does really matter is getting a hip really to pop in front. And you can see how that throws my shoulder forward. And I spent years watching one of my brothers execute these super mean back arm uppercuts that came from so far away. I could be here thinking, oh, okay, I'm safe, and I'd just be blocking the straight punches, leaving a little hole down the middle around my chest, and then all of a sudden this long uppercut comes and he would catch me. And it was so disorienting because I would not expect to be hit from that angle. So what he would do is he would line up some jabs and then he'd pop his hip really forward, disconnect that back heel, pop, and then he would come on this angle and sort of straight out, and then at the end really lift it. Out and lift at the end. Look at that range which I can get. In addition, he wasn't always worried about turning the hand over. He would sometimes just come like this. And it would work really well getting in between that small space between those forearms. So you set it up, little hip hop, and then at the last second you raise and boom, getting really good leverage on that shot. It's never been a speciality of mine, the really, really long uppercut. I prefer the long hooks. I've scored some knockdowns and fights with those. The long uppercut, I like a little bit tighter, but like I said, my brother Jacob, he just would throw those with so much force. They were so beautiful, so scary, and that's something which you can do. You can just make sure that this hip leads, and then at the end you kind of throw that motion. Arm stays fairly long. Obviously you don't want to expose your head, so you want to make sure that you're throwing this shoulder very tight to your jaw so that you're staying ultra protected. You can have your hands on this side and then your shoulder on this side to really guard up. And that slight little turn is not essential, but it's a nice little extra trick which seems to work very well. One of my favorite things about being able to throw these uppercuts and hooks at a longer range is now it's much more difficult for somebody from the outside to just be worried about one angle. If I'm just going, okay, I only have these, they really only need to just turtle shell up or just work parries. And they're kind of set, they're covered. But once from the outside, you start throwing some long uppercuts and hooks, as well as those straight shots, all of a sudden that becomes so much scarier. And the person on the outside might go, shoot, I don't like this. And they'll take that extra step away just to make sure they're ultra safe. Playing around with these different distances to throw shots at is definitely gonna up your skill level, gonna make you that much more dangerous in sparring. You wanna be able to go tight, you wanna be able to go at that regular range, and you wanna be able to go long. And same thing with round kicks. I can hit with my shin across and slam into the chest. I can come more at that sort of traditional range, or sometimes I can just come with my foot and aim for the head and come from really far. You want to always have that variety. So I hope the tips today helped you guys out. As always, guys, train hard. I will see you back here soon for another video.